was made clear that the Englishwoman's presence at the restaurant was to be concealed. Those were my orders. But what if this Englishwoman was the killer? I think it would be in everyone's best interest not to pursue that idea. The Empire views the friendly terms of its relationship with Britain more highly than anything at the moment. An Englishman has been murdered on our soil. To name an Englishwoman as the primary suspect, well, without irrefutable evidence, that will be completely out of the question. So that's the reason for the disappearance of the Phantom Woman in this case. But it's not right. One possibility does spring to mind. What do you mean, Cosmo? UMA University is currently hosting a number of exchange students from Great Britain. And I'm fairly certain that one of them is studying in the medical faculty's research laboratory. He's a young Englishwoman. Oh? What? You're a shrewd man. I can see why you're the chosen candidate for the overseas study tour. You mean, when I removed the woman from the scene of the crime, I thought it prudent to check her identity first. Then the court demands that you name the lady in question at once, Inspector. The Englishwoman sitting at the university professor's table was a certain Miss Giselle Brett. Giselle Brett? She is indeed a foreign student studying in the research laboratory of UMA University's medical faculty. What? What is happening here? I admit that under orders from the police bureau, I erased all evidence of this lady's presence at the scene, and ordered these witnesses to make no mention of her in their testimonies. It must now be up to Your Excellency to decide how to deal with this situation. That is something they are gonna have to decide on that, Judge. It is a tough decision. Well, I thought the matter as follows. Thus far, the case presented to the court has been underpinned by a particular critical premise. Namely, that the victim was dining alone. However, as we now discovered that this premise is false, it will be a desecration of our justice system to ignore the truth and give a ruling at this point.
Objection!
But, Your Excellency, that would mean missing the noon deadline of a ruling in order to send a telegraphic report to Great Britain. Our own government will surely be very displeased by such actions.
Calm yourself, Consul. I will not allow the government of our country or any other to influence the proceedings of my courtroom. Ooh. Judge. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes, sir. You will locate this Giselle Brett and escort her to the courtroom with the utmost urgency. At once, Your Excellency.
But that means you'll be going against the special orders you were given from the police bureau.
Come out, Archie. As I said before, it is my guiding principle to carry out all investigations flawlessly. So it won't be a problem. Nothing will get in my way. Oh! Yeah, I told you. People during these times have quite the chutzpah. Court will adjourn briefly. The prosecution must call the English student, Giselle Brett, to the witness stand. Do I make myself clear?
Yes. Your Excellency.
Good. Then we'll have a 30-minute recess before we reconvene. November, 11:38 a.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, Defendant's Antechamber 5. Excellent work, Yonosuke. That was superb.
It was perfecto. Well, not quite, but close to perfection. A small portion of perfection, I would say. Like 1/10. But you were getting there. My heart was in my mouth the entire time.
It was almost unbelievable. I mean, looking at you in there. You were drenched in sweat, your eyes popping, your knees knocking, and you were grinding your teeth. Like, at some point I was thinking that if you were gonna have like any teeth at all by the end of all this. It was a grim sight. But before I knew it, I started finding inconsistencies in the testimonies. Well, with quite a lot of push from behind by Kazuma over here, but it is something. I think he might have a natural talent for being a lawyer.
Forget it! It's terrifying! If I get through this, I don't ever want to see the inside of a courtroom again.
Anyway, it looks like we've exposed your Phantom Lady at last. Ms. Giselle Brett, a student from Great Britain. Is she?
That's what I was trying to tell everyone from the start. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone. There was a young woman with him, like I've been saying all along.
Watson, why? Or more like, Wilson, why? Yes, you have, haven't you?
I might not be overly confident in a courtroom, but my powers over position are one thing I'm sure of.
Yeah, I can see that. So, about this young gentlewoman. Thanks to our detective friend, she was hastily escorted away from the scene, it seems. Did you see what happened with that?
No, I didn't see any of it. I mean, good Christ, dude. You were like right over there, at the scene of the crime. I mean, of course, the game would actually hide this stuff from us, cause yeah, it wouldn't be a good mystery story if our protagonist over here, Ryunosuke, would actually see everything. Well, even if he were to see everything, it doesn't really matter because we have to prove it to everyone that it was this woman that did it. I mean, Ryunosuke was telling us this like the entire time. It's not like he was hiding it from us, the readers, as well. Like, if we were to trust the protagonist and not go with a unreliable narration here, because technically this would be considered unreliable narration because we've seen a glimpse of this woman like right over there. If Ryunosuke was not telling us the truth and there was no such thing as an English woman there to begin with, even though we've seen the CG of the English woman on the right of Wilson at some point, like a silhouette of that woman, that would technically be considered like unreliable narration. I would say. So, like honestly, I'm not sure if okay. So this like Great Ace Attorney is also done by Shu Takumi, right? Like the first Ace Attorney games. I don't know if Takumi is one to use such a device, and if he does, I probably didn't even notice before in the Ace Attorney games. if he's using unreliable narration for this sort of stuff as a device for his mystery stories. I don't know. Like, the Ace Attorney stories have been pretty straightforward with us. Like, in the sense that everything that we see is the truth to some extent from Nick's perspective. What we see is what we see. It's not something that I would have to question, like the intent behind that moment that will be hidden from us, that will be hidden from the reader and such. I was just on my way out of the restaurant myself. And then, on the floor next to Dr. Wilson's table, I noticed there was a gun lying on the floor. And just after I bent down and picked it up, I didn't have time to think about where the sound of the gunshot had come from. The waiter ran over to me, looking as white as a sheet. Well, okay, you know what, this is something that I'm curious about, because in the court record, it says right over here that, okay, he was shot from the front, chest, and subsequently died. But, right over here, it was said at some point that there were also, like, gunpowder markings, meaning that he was shot, like, at close range as well. Does any of the pieces of evidence over here tell us that? No, I think that was something that Ouchie, that Payne, actually said at some point. I think that would mean that whoever shot Wilson was actually at close range. It's not like it was possible for somebody to, I don't know, shoot Wilson from outside the restaurant and easily escape by just running away from the restaurant. Thus, Leonosuke would not be able to see that. Because if it was from a distance, then there would be no burning marks, like, on the chest. So that would imply that there was somebody near Wilson. And by that logic, it was also that person was also near Leonosuke. If Leonosuke did not see this woman after Wilson was shot, that would imply that the victim just ran super fast after the culprit shot Wilson and such. They escaped like really fast. Actually, let me see. Let me examine this. Okay. Like, yeah. If Wilson was right over here, and the culprit was right over here, and but Leonosuke was probably crouching somewhere, like, I don't know, like right over here or right over here, somewhere. If they were crouching for a split second to get the gun, and Wilson was shot, then the culprit would just immediately exit the restaurant. Right over here. There was this wall over here that gives you time to not be caught by anybody else, like Leonosuke right over here. By the time Leonosuke would look in the direction of Wilson over here, who died, the culprit already escaped. Right over here. Just like that. So, yeah, maybe there would be some time for the Englishwoman to escape by not getting caught or something like that. Like, they would be able to escape fast. Maybe. I don't know. And he bundled me into some sort of small pantry next to the kitchen. Fast thinking by the detective. He apprehended his suspect without a moment's delay. Yeah, because I was shut in the pantry. I have no idea what happened outside in the dining area. Really now? Hold on a second. He bundled you into some sort of small pantry next to the kitchen. Okay, that's interesting. Huh. There you are. Well done, both of you. Professor Mikotoba. Well, he says I was right. The pair of you make an outstanding team. You've exceeded my expectations, I have to say. Yeah, it seems you planned this from the start. You arranged things so that I wouldn't be able to act as a lawyer in this trial.
Our modern country is still in its infancy. Our justice system, even more so. Which is why I firmly believe that we need to send our brightest young stars overseas to learn all they can. I wanted to avoid a situation that may have resulted in your study tour to Great Britain being cancelled. Well, it makes no difference. Lawyer or otherwise, if I'm the kind of man who can't help his best friend avert the worst crisis of his life, I shouldn't waste everyone's time by going to study overseas anyway. What? What are you saying, Kazuma? So that's your stance. I was afraid you'd feel that way. Kazuma! Well then, it looks like it all comes down to you, young man. To me? Yeah. You need to prove your innocence, and uncover what really took place in that restaurant. I must say, I very much want to know the truth. After all, I have a personal connection to this case. Yeah, something tells me that you do have a connection to this. Especially to one particular person that we may find soon enough. Come to think of it, he said the same thing earlier this morning, didn't he? If you don't mind me asking, Professor, did you know the victim? Yeah, I did. As you're probably aware, Dr. John H. Wilson was a visiting professor to UMIC. And it was I who invited him. Oh, I see. I didn't know that before. Anyway, you're about to go into battle. The victim was a university professor from Great Britain, and a well-known one at that. Naturally, our government is looking to identify and punish the culprit as quickly as possible. But let's not forget who we are going up against. The gentleman with his involvement, our police bureau, went to extraordinary lengths to hide. Quote unquote, we're going against the government! Yes, and I'm sure the prosecution will be using every tool at their disposal to quash your case. But I've no doubt that you pair will put up a good fight, right to the last. Best of luck. Thank you. Now then, I need you to run an errand at the university at once. There's something I think we may need. Of course. Good luck, Kazuma-sama. Defendant Naruhodo! Court recess is over! Please make your way back inside the courtroom at once. It's time. Let's get back to it, partner. Let's go in there and deal a decisive blow. Before those old fossils know what's hit them. You got that right! Kazuma? What? Thank you. Really. What for? Well, you hadn't said you believed me, then I'm pretty sure I'd already have been found guilty by now. It does remind me of a particular case from the past. A long, long past. Except in this case, Ryunosuke would actually be Edgeworth, and Kazuma would actually be... Phoenix Wright. And if you were to look at them, you'd feel the opposite way around. Ryunosuke would be Phoenix Wright, and Kazuma would be Edgeworth. They do give off that vibe, but in this case, it feels like the tables have... But in this case, it feels like the opposite when it comes to their circumstances. Look, I have faith in you. As a lawyer, and as a friend. Only for you, that means a lot. Yeah. And now what we need is for them to shake their hands like strongly. There you go, just like that. If I am found guilty in this trial, he's really going to give up on his dream of studying abroad. Actually, that's not a shake. That's like a forceful high five. Like, I don't even know how to call it. It's not a high five, but
just grabbing each other's hand, just like that. Like what brothers would do.
That's the kind of true friend he is.
So this isn't just my battle weapon anymore. Or not just their hands, but their arms as well. They interconnect their arms.
Like that.
I don't know how to describe it.
Whoever we're up against, we absolutely cannot afford to lose. Alright now. I'll say the thank yous for after the trial. You can treat me to one of those sukiyaki meals I like from Yumi Cafeteria on University Street.
With an extra large portion, of course.
(22nd November, 12:09 p.m. Supreme Court of Judicature. Courtroom number 2. The court hereby resumes the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Prosecutor Aochi, have you managed to subpoena the witness?
Yes, Your Excellency. Against all odds. And thanks to a certain young stripling, the prosecution is now under rather painful scrutiny from the government.
Sorry. Let the government scrutinize. That's their job. There's nothing to worry about.
It's highly likely that the good relations we forged with Great Britain will emerge from this trial unscathed. But you still think it's nothing to worry about when the new treaty breaks down and our nation founders?
Sheesh. It really makes me think.
If we're talking about this high stuff going on in the first trial of this new adventure, then something tells me that we're going to be dealing with that sort of stuff a lot in the future. Like, honestly, thinking about it, thinking about the Nick's past cases in the other adventures, I don't think that we ever went that high in terms of scale. I mean, we went against a really powerful prosecutor that was known for 40 years and such. He was one of the best in Japan. And after that, we went with, like, the chief of police. Like, that was actually quite huge, now that I'm thinking about it. Anything past that, though? Let me see. Yeah, like, honestly, I don't know. In terms of scale, I think that the case with the Damon Gaunt was probably the highest. Now, I'm not saying that the other cases past that were not. Like, I'm talking about the scale over here. Like, when it comes to the road, to the outside road. Like, say all you want about the last case of Trials and Tribulations with the Gato and such. That was a fairly private case that spanned through years and such. But as far as the world was concerned, that was of no concern to the world and such. But when you deal with the highest of the police, or even the government and such, that is something quite huge. If you get what I'm trying to say over here, folks. Again, terribly sorry. The friendship between our nations is really so fragile that the treaty isn't worth the paper it's written on. You really have nothing to worry about, Ryunosuke. What do you mean?
A secret trial, anxiety over some foreign government's opinions, a bungled investigation, missing witnesses. Is this what our nation's justice system is? Is this the Supreme Court of Japan or of England?
Shut up! Shut up, you jumped-up rookie boy! You and your friend know nothing. Nothing of the situation our nation finds itself in. By aligning ourselves with this greater world power, we'll become strong. Diplomacy has never been more critical. Steady political maneuvering is what will secure our futures.
Really now. Even if it means trying to make the culprit
the possible actual culprit escape? I won't deny that I'm no expert. I'm just a student. And one who could arguably study harder, too. But standing here now in our Supreme Court, there's one thing that I feel very strongly. A country that fails to uphold the truth in its justice system is a country with no future at all. Well said, Ryonasuke. Despite the wide-eyed look of terror. Those were actually some pretty good words there, Ryonasuke. You little brats! Thank you, Consul. This court is the pinnacle of our nation's justice system, and exists solely for the pursuance of truth. With that in mind, the trial will now resume with the next witness taking a stand. The truth. Well, I guess so. I guess we shall see what truth the world will know by the end of all this. What kind of truth the world will know after this. I guess we shall see. The visiting student from Great Britain is Giselle Brett. Yes. Your Excellency. Well, what a delight it is to welcome such a fine gentlewoman to Japan. And from such a distant land. Tea! Someone bring English tea! In England, no discussions take place without tea. Is that true? So, could we possibly trouble you to state your name and occupation for the court? Of course. My name is Satoru Hasanaga. Not you, you bastard! I've been working undercover as the head waiter at La Carnival. Yeah, we know all about you already. Inspector Hasanaga, where are your manners? In England, it's always ladies first. Oh boy. This brings me some flashbacks. Some Vietnam-like flashbacks. Some really painful flashbacks that are like thorny roses, like thorny ivies and such. Ugh. Is that true? More importantly, a little earlier today you said something to me. You said your powers of realization are the one thing you're sure of. Yeah, I think I did, didn't I? Yet your description for this amazing sight was simply a woman. Sorry, Ryonasuke. But powers of observation aside, your powers of description are sorely lacking. I don't know. I mean, looks can be deceiving after all, you know. Guilty. So, dear lady, once again, if I may trouble you for your name and occupation, please. Yeah? What was she saying over there? Was she speaking Charlie Brown language there? I'm very sorry, dear lady, but what? Oh, they're speaking English, aren't they? Okay, I feel like I'm getting right over here. Okay. Like, I didn't know what language this was, if it was even a real language. But no, maybe they're speaking English right over here, and the rest of the court, they are not understanding because they're speaking Japanese. The lady says her name is Giselle Brett. She comes from London, England. She is a visiting research student, currently enrolled in Yumi University's medical faculty. Okay, so unless we're gonna have some twist, I guess we're gonna be talking through Hosonaga. Oh my, what a rare treat to hear the dulcet tones of the delightful language of the British people. I'm afraid I don't understand a word you said, but it was as beautiful as a hummingbird's song.
As far as I can tell, the detective is translating her words faithfully enough. Yeah, I agree.
Well, I don't know. I feel like in these kinds of situations, because I don't think that we've ever had this kind of situation. I mean, granted, we had a parrot. We had to cross-examine a parrot in the past, which was really, really difficult. It's like speaking to an alien or something like that. But actually, I don't even know. I remember. I mean, they were a parrot. They were repeating stuff. Not necessarily they were talking like a bird language. I don't know what I was thinking there, but nonetheless, I feel like in these kinds of situations, you would have like a translator, like an actual translator that works with the judge. Like, you know, like those guys that are transcripting the court dialogue right over here. I mean, who do you think is transcripting all this stuff right over here? They are writing this all on paper while this entire court is happening in the first place. There is always that one person that is recording the script of the dialogue over here. Now, granted, I don't think, like, honestly, I wouldn't even be sure if that is the case in the present day as well, because we have, like, video capture as such, so we wouldn't need that kind of person to do that anymore. But still, I feel like in this kind of situation, you would have, like, a translator, like, alongside the judge over here that will help us, because one can ask if we can even trust that Hosanaga is actually saying what the lady is actually saying. But, you know, given what we've seen thus far, I feel like we can trust Hosanaga. I think... I guess we shall see as time goes on. You obviously do find in England, Kazuma. English doesn't try to do at all, does it? Not you. You've clearly been paying attention in your English classes, Yonosuke. The court thanks the beautiful lady for taking the stand. Now, if it may trouble you to confirm something, Miss Pratt. 3 days ago, at a restaurant called La Carnival, a grim murder took place. The court has been led to believe that you were dining there with the victim, Dr. Wilson, at the time. Is that correct? She says, yes. Jeez. I mean, if it takes that long to say just a word, I mean, my god, this trial is gonna be really, really long. This could take some time, honestly. So even though she's studying here in Japan, she don't speak any Japanese. It must be fairly recent that she came here to Japan. She'd like to apologize for disappearing from the scene. She says that she was due to make a presentation at the university, so she had to leave immediately. Interesting. When you're the one who engineered her escape. I was just following special orders from the bureau. Well now, dear lady, will you be so kind as to cast your eyes over this photographic print? Seeing as you were, so unfortunately, present at the scene of crime. Could it be that your resplendent eyes caught sight of the wicked perpetrator, perhaps? Apparently, it was a very frightening and sorrowful sight. Do you mean to say... Yes, it would appear the lady did witness the crime. The very moment when the accused, standing right there in this courtroom, shot the victim in cold blood. Uh-oh! Order! Order in court! Did you hear that, Your Excellency? Here we have an absolutely conclusive witness statement.
Well, it looks like it's clear now. Clear who our real enemy is. Unfortunately, I will have to ask you to formally testify, if you please. Kindly tell the court the exact nature of this frightening and sorrowful sight you described. Okay, well, let's see how the cross-examination is going to go with this. I didn't. A frightening and sorrowful sight. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. The professor wasn't able to eat, so I ordered for myself only. A beefsteak. Okay. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor, and they got into a fierce argument. A fierce argument? Then, not long afterwards, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him right before my eyes. I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit. This is a condemning testimony. No, I didn't have any kind of argument with the professor at all.
Objection!
Quiet, you filthy wretch! Look at you, you black-hearted blackguard. And look at this snow-white angel. I'm sure even a dark-minded scoundrel like you can't imagine whose words the court is going to believe. Sheesh. You mean to say that everyone in this court besides Ryunosuke is a simp? You're still making the same mistakes, Ryunosuke. You mustn't blurt out when you're goaded like that. That's a lesson you need to learn. Yeah, do that like after the cross-examination begins. Then you can do that. Don't just hop in like right after, like right over here. But he's so annoying. Of course, I was at the scene as well. I took statements from this lady and the two witnesses who testified before, and reported back to the bureau. It was decided that Miss Brett was not involved, so I let her go. The testimonies of the last two witnesses were completely worthless, however. Well, even so, on the day in question, the lady was wearing the same outfit as she is today. As you can see, there is nowhere about her person where she could conceal a firearm. Are you sure about that? I would think she could hide a gun almost anywhere in that outfit if she wanted to. I mean, my god. In the past year or so, I've seen, I myself have seen quite the dresses in the past. You could hide quite a lot of stuff, depending on the physique of the person. And my god, how much they could hide. Unless and until the precise location where the witness is to have hidden a weapon can be shown. This is moot. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. Those are the witness's own words on the matter. Yeah, that's ridiculous. If only I was allowed to lift up her dress, I could prove it. Ryunosuke! Oh! Most unorthodox! Don't think about doing anything rash, Ryunosuke. Hey! Would you look at that? Kazuma managed to read Ryunosuke's mind over here. Ah, just like good old times. But I didn't find the gun I picked up. There must have been another gun there that day. No, I wasn't talking about that, Kazuma. I was talking about something else that you were thinking there. You little pervert. You're right about that. Which means this lady was hiding a gun somewhere. Yeah, that's what we have to prove now. And to do so, we want to pull her testimony apart. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. Oh, yes, Your Excellency. I don't know. I mean, Your Excellency doesn't sound. I mean, okay, it sounds grand and such, but I miss when when Nick would say Your Honor. Like, I'm still gonna call him Your Honor. A frightening and sorrowful sight. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. Okay, well... Actually, let me, let me get accustomed to the way I go through this, because I have to use my scroll wheel for this. I mean, either way, I feel like I'm gonna have to... Like, I don't see, like, any obvious inconsistency right over here. They got into a fierce argument. Then no longer afterwards. I mean, that is an inconsistency, but can we even prove something with that? Nah. Hey, hold on a second. Hold on a second. The kids took the professor's gun and shot him right before her eyes. Well, how can you say that if your eyes are covered in the first place? They are covered like non-stop. Okay. Let's start from the start and see what we can get out of this. After 2 p.m., in fact. That's really quite a late luncheon, isn't it? You don't keep up with the latest fashions from Britain, do you? Late lunches are even en vogue, isn't that right? No. The decisive English no has quite a sting to it. The gentlewoman is currently working in the victim's research laboratory, it seems. I wonder what the equivalent of no is to Japanese. I mean, who am I to ask this? Like, the most I know Japanese is, like, recognizing hiragana characters, that's it. I feel like, I don't know... Yeah, like, I honestly don't know what no is in Japanese. I mean the character itself, not the word, precisely. So it was apparently a daily occurrence that they would lunch together. A daily occurrence, you say? But on the day in question, the victim had another appointment at the clinic first. Yeah, which we can prove from the medical report card that was submitted, as evidence earlier. That's right. Ms. Brett and the victim went to lunch following the victim's treatment, which is why it was so late. Okay, well, it makes sense. It all makes perfect sense. Such wonderful logic. What a shining example of great English intelligence this fine gentlewoman is. So you both arrived at the restaurant. What happened next? Okay... The professor wasn't able to eat, so I ordered for myself only, a beefsteak. Yes! Okay, well, it sort of checks out because, well, Wilson couldn't order himself. He went to the dentist, so there would only be one plate there for the lady. He wasn't able to eat, you say. Oh yeah. And that was because he just had a tooth removed at Hada Clinic, correct? That's right. You're supposed to actually check with the witness before answering. Was Miss Brett aware of that fact? It seems so, yes. She heard that the professor was to have some dental treatment. So that will mean that it was you who ate the steak pictured here. Is that right, Miss Brett? That's right, yes. The print you have there shows the table exactly as it was left after the horrifying events. Exactly as it was left. Dear me, what a harrowing experience. The print you have there shows the table exactly as it was left after the horrifying events. Well, I did notice that, Well, actually, hold on a second. Like, I'm looking at the stake over here, but when the picture was taken and the crime scene photograph, well, I would assume that both of these were done at the same time. Otherwise, you would notice like a difference that here the steak was half eaten and, I don't know, depending on what is shown here, the steak is actually full, like... Yeah, okay, it's what else. To have traveled to a distant island on the far side of the world and be embroiled in such a tragic incident. Have no fear, my dear lady. I swear I will crush the evil fiend that has subjected you to this terrible plight. So the victim, Dr. Wilson, had nothing to eat or drink at all? That's right. Other than some carbonated water. Just water? Yeah. I feel like he would be able to... Yeah, hold on a second. The victim had undergone dental treatment and been prohibited from eating or drinking anything but water. But what about the carbonated water? Like, I don't know if fizzled water or, like, you know, the other type of water have, like, make any difference. Would Wilson be able to drink, like, carbonated water? Because carbonated water is like the fizzly water, right? Like the one that makes all the fizzles up, and such. Versus the other type of water that is more like not carbonated, right? Yes, the professor wasn't able to eat. We have been given permission to drink water. Yeah, okay. So it appears that the diners toasted their lunch with a glass of water each. A glass of water each? They each raised a glass of carbonated water. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. There is only one glass of water. What the fuck are you trying to do over here? What do you think, Leonowski, about the witness's last statement? Okay, I saw that it's very meaningful, so we accepted that, but I really have to be careful not to, I really have to be careful not to, press it wrong when that happens in the future. That last statement of yours, Miss Brett, has a profound bearing on this case. Like, I have to wait until it shows up. Wow, how fascinating. Do tell us, what is this profound bearing? The significance of the statement will become apparent when the time is right. The defense calls for the witness's last statement to be formally added to the testimony. Well sidestepped, counsel. Very well. Miss Brett, can you repeat what you just said to be added to your official testimony? Okay, well that is actually simple. I think we got this cross-examination. Gladly, she said. That was brilliant, Cosmo. I'm going to remember that one. Which one? The significance will become apparent when the time is right. I could really use that phrase. It sounds cool. I'd hope there are some more useful tips you're picking up from this experience than that, Igonosuke. Well, I mean, hey, besides knowing how to be an ace attorney, you have to be all cool and such, which means having like a good vocabulary and such to show them who's boss. But okay, hold on, let me see something over here. And the professor and I said cheers over a glass of carbonated water. Okay, well, I think that we can use our evidence on that. But after all, the kids came over to greet the professor and they got into a fierce argument. Yes! Let's press the other statements. I mean, this is gonna be a long journey, so might as well. Like sometimes I'm gonna speed things up and go through the cross-examinations if I find the argument, but other times I'm just gonna press everything. I never got into an argument with the professor. All I did when I noticed him was go over to say hello. Please, don't get angry with me. No, I wasn't directing that retort at you. It was meant for the lady next to you. But anyway, as I said, I did not argue with the professor. I'm afraid your words are in vain. Excuse me?
Miss Bear does not appear to speak Japanese.
No, of course not. Japanese is such a cumbersome language anyway. English is the future. We must all speak English.
I wonder if the prosecution will feel that way forever, only in the presence of a beautiful woman.
The future of anime.
That beautiful woman is telling blatant lies with a completely straight face.
I mean, God knows how long, how long you're gonna live, Ryunosuke, Kazuma. But chances are you're not gonna be able to see what the future lies.
I have to find something that will rival her testimony, no matter how seemingly insignificant it may be.